Hello guys, and welcome into Cloud9. We're here for the final day, at least for the Cloud9 broadcast of the Academy League play. We have one more game tomorrow that we'll be able to witness, but today will be the final one we get to watch. Myself, Mad Magical, joined in again, and finally by Cage in the Rage. And Sam, I gotta ask you, how excited are you for this game, even though we know Cloud9 have already gotten first?
If I were to put a word to it, I would say very.
No, help me.
I'm not bringing
Save
the
me.
voice out.
Save
We
me.
were doing a little bit of a warm-up beforehand, and I decided that maybe I should just do the whole cast in this voice. Magical did not approve of it, so I will be going back to the more traditional style of casting for the day.
Oh man, Sam, I'm gonna miss you after this cast.
I know, it's been quite a ride.
It's been so much fun being able to cast these games, but we do have to focus a little bit on League of Legends instead of your fine voice acting skills.
Thank you so much.
But I want to talk about TSM Academy
talk about TSM
going
Academy.
against Cloud9 Academy. We already said how Cloud9 have locked in first place. No matter what, they will be your first seed going into playoffs. They can go 0-2 this week. Doesn't matter. But TSM Academy, right now, they're sitting 7th place, 7-9. One game out of getting 6, 2 games out of 4th.
So if the stars align, it is still very possible for TSM Academy to get into a 4th place slot for this season. However, it is going to require them going 2-0 and every team above them, besides CLG and Team Liquid Academy, going 0-2 this week.
Exactly. I mean, though couldn't they go 2-0 and have the 6th place team go 1-1? Then
Like
they would
Quest
be in,
Academy could.
Yeah,
yes.
Then they would be in a tiebreaker, I believe, and would have to play one more tiebreaker match in order to find out who would be going into the quarterfinals. And like we had mentioned already, we're not going to have to worry about Cloud9. They will be going into the semifinals no matter what as your number 1 seed, as they sit right now 14-2, having dominated the split the entire way with roster swaps all over the place.
It's been quite a tumultuous season, but at the same time, the consistency has been immaculate. Despite last week's loss, due to a couple of misplays on their part and a bit of a camp topside, it's still been a great season for them. They've been working with a bunch of different players. Even bringing Fang on in the last 2 weeks has been incredible for the team. They're still putting out amazing results.
And Fang does seem like he's meshing very well in with Keith into the bot lane. Likes to play a little bit more aggressively while he has Keith kind of hang out in the back line. Well, sure, maybe they have a little bit of the memes of Cloud9, especially when you look over to Sneaky, the sneaky in lane kind of style for Keith. He always seems to be able to pop off in those team fights.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you see him, whether it's on the Morgana, whether it's on the Swain, whether it's on the Jhin, which has been extremely popular as of late, he is always putting in something to the team, whether it's CC, whether it's damage. He's just always there, always in position, except for the times when he's not. And even when he's not, he has
the times that he's not.
Except for when he's not. Just got to look out for maybe a Lulu or Orianna pick, and then Keith can really be activated in these games.
Yeah, and I'm really interested to see how they kind of play around that style, because Keith has actually played Orianna in the past as well, putting Golden Glue onto Yasuo, so they can still bust out these mage supports, and you really have to have that style. When you look over to TSM, because you have Mr. Rollins over on TSM Academy for their AD carry role, but he hasn't really been playing AD carry this entire split long. He's only played, I think, 3 actual AD carries in the entirety of summer.
That is true, and even those AD carries were generally more of the support. He did play a couple Kai'Sa games, but he mostly likes the Jhin, the Ashe. He loves these support style and mage style characters, and this season has really suited him. However, since we are in 8-15 this week, it's going to be back to those standard AD carries.
At least that's what we would expect. I mean, we look over to last week even. He still was playing Vladimir. He played that into the bot lane. He feels very comfortable playing at those mages. Even if a lot of people have let those kind of fall to the wayside, we could still see something akin to how Griffin have been playing, where you have your favorite, Teemo, coming in. Your favorite. I know that you've been enjoying witnessing that a couple times coming out of Viper.
Enjoy is a strong word, Alex.
It is a very strong word, and I know you enjoy it a lot. You can tell from his face how much he loves Teemo.
So one of the things to look out for is when he gets used. It's always against a lane that's not pushing too hard against him, like an Ezreal or something like that. And you want to make sure that he's against multiple AD carries, so when a Kindred is in the jungle, when you have a Kai'Sa mid, he becomes extremely strong, and that is the only option that we see a Teemo being a viable pick.
But still, it is possible. We have seen Keith play Ezreal a couple times throughout the split. However, we do have to mention how unsuccessful Ezreal has been for everybody in North America.
Unsuccessful is a word you could use, or you could use the real answer, 0% win rate in North America.
That's several words.
I like my definition of words. You know, words. Who cares? You know,
Plural doesn't mean anything.
No.
It's like
No.
no. That is too early.
No.
That is too early.
Too early
Into the prequel.
No.
No.
Yeah, okay,
It got-
fine.
No, see, now you got me.
You can't
started
do
on-
this. It's unfair.
You may have a seat on the cast, but I do not grant you permission of caster.
Boy, you really tried to stretch that one.
I did.
Yeah, I felt that.
I did. I had to
Unfortunate.
think of it.
Yep, but you did it.
I did it.
You know, congratulations.
Thank you. Anyways, back on
Sure.
topic.
League of
So,
Legends.
Looking over towards that, sure, Ezreal has been having a very difficult time in NA, but it is a potential pick for Keith.
It is. And when I think about what Keith can play, it's always these sort of support style AD carries. I feel like the Ashe and Jhin are generally more his style. I would
Right.
hate to see an
I agree.
Ezreal just because it doesn't provide CC. It's safe, but the damage isn't there, and I don't think it provides what the team needs.
I completely agree with you on that. But the other kind of thing that could be a potential to see coming in from Cloud9 could be the Xayah Rakan, even though Feng has not played it at all professionally so far. I would like to see them kind of flex their muscles a little bit in that bot lane.
Oh, sure. If they're going to pick it, then absolutely pick it. Otherwise, it needs to be a first-round ban. Because Rakan is so strong on Shady on the side of TSM Academy, it needs to be gone from him in one way or the other, whether it's picked away or banned away.
And that's going to be a thing that will be really interesting. You look over towards how the pick bans have been for the past couple of weeks, and there are so many powerful picks. Kindred, Nocturne, Aatrox. You have Rakan, we already mentioned. You look over to Trundle, Varus, Morgana, Talia. The list just keeps going on and on. Zoe is another one that comes to mind. Orianna. You have so many powerful picks, you can't ban them all away.
It's impossible. There are at least 9 power picks that we can count that are absolutely pick ban, but you only get 6 bans in the first round. So it's up to Cloud9 Academy and TSM Academy to decide which is the highest priority. Is it the Zoe? Is it a jungler? Is it a support? Honestly, it's hard to say right now.
Yeah, and the one thing I kind of want to see is when we look over to mid lane for Golden Glue, he has a very large champion pool that he can play. And one thing that has been sprouting up, we look over to LCK, has been Zed coming in, especially as a counter to Zoe.
And while we have seen that as a counter pick, specifically to Zoe, AD Assassins have been buffed over the last few patches. We've been seeing a lot of Talon coming out. And because of that, we could still see Zed today. It hasn't been played by Golden Glue a lot, but he has played it in the past. And I feel like it is a possibility today if Zoe gets picked.
Yeah, but that will, I think, be more dependent on what they choose for the jungle role. When we look over to Spenskaren coming in for Cloud9 Academy, he's been playing a lot more of that AP Gragas. Sure, Kindred has been something that he can go to. He can play a plethora of everything. And one of the picks I know you really want to talk about is Lee Sin coming back and having been buffed just considerably in the last patch.
Spenskaren is such a storied player. He's been around the league since 2011, playing originally before the LCS even started. And you know what he used to play a lot of, especially in Season 2 and 3?
Teemo. You told me to guess.
I did, and I'm never going to do that again.
Yeah, that was a
Lee
mistake.
Sin has been such a popular pick for him because it's that carry-style jungler that he used to play so much, and now that he has been buffed with that Q resonating strike doing not execute damage, but 100% buff on low-health targets, it's just scaling off his AD. So if he gets ahead, he gets really ahead. Both him and Mike Young could look to pick this up.
And that's really strong against assassinating some of these backline mages, 80 carries, so Keith and Golden Glue. If they're going against that, if Mike Young is the one who drafts it, not Svenskaren, that's a dangerous proposition for them.
It sure is. Mike Young, again, very popular for his carry-style junglers, his Nidalee, his Lee Sin. Even if he picks a Kindred, that's very akin to his older style. On TSM Academy, he's playing more support style.
Right.
Sejuani, Gragas, etc. But he could still pull this out. It is the last week. If you're going to pull out the stops, this is the time to do it.
You might as well, especially if you're going to go and get a mage for Mr. Rawless in the bot lane. You need that damage coming in from somewhere, and I doubt that's really going to be coming in from mid lane.
Absolutely. So they're looking, when you talk about their mid lane, and I'd like to talk about a little bit of a Blazed Olive, he always goes for that Orianna. He feels extremely safe on it, but it is a contested pick.
Right.
So they have to look around for other options. They have to look at Zoe, who isn't as safe, but still provides an incredible wealth of things that she can do in the game.
Right.
They could look at a Lulu, which again is a shared pick, but you can't share all of them.
Exactly.
So one of them has to be available.
Though, and you look over to Ablazov, he's had some questionable games on that Orianna that you mentioned, really having the best success when he plays onto Lulu so he can facilitate the rest of the team, having Mr. Rawless as that backup mage that they need to for the team. but really it's so weird when you look over to them that they have to put a Blaze Olive into more of that supportive role.
It's very unfortunate, but at the same time, many comps work with that. If you have a Trundle in jungle or Kindred or Graves, one of those carry junglers, then you can put a support mid lane, and then you have damage coming in from other sources that still makes the team comp work.
So, and I want to talk about Graves a little bit, because this is a pick that has kind of shown a couple times, but not really too often. It's more of a, we wait until we see how many jungle bans have been hit. If we're going to get 4 or 5, then you go for the Graves, because how weak his matchup is into something like a Gragas that can really punish him in the early game.
It can punish in the early game, but the damage and the mid-game power that Graves can bring if he gets ahead is astronomical.
True.
He comes in, he does that Q, he uses his collateral damage, and that's an instant combo at 6. With any sort of CC and damage, that opponent is going to be dead.
Exactly, but again, we're talking about carry junglers. You talk about having maybe a supportive mid laner and then more of a mage AD carry. Then you look over to Piecake Lord. This guy does not like to play too many tanks in the top lane. He loves to carry from that role. He had the backdoor Aatrox game a couple weeks ago. He's played a lot of Gangplank. He's played a lot of Jace. This guy wants to make sure that he's taking over the game, but when you have someone like that who doesn't feel as comfortable on tanks, you don't really have that much of a front line.
No, but at the same time, it's all about the composition. It's all about if you have that Lulu, if you have a tank support, then you can really enable your top laner against Shiro, of all people, to go into that carry versus carry style, and they're just butting heads. Whoever gets ahead carries the game.
You're talking about Shiro right there. That guy has been the only one consistent on Cloud9 Academy, but my God, has he been incredible. This entire summer split, he has had a couple shaky games, sure, but he has been dominating in the top lane, very rarely going onto the tanks, only looking weak when he has to scale up into the game, such as the Gangplank where they got the loss from last week.
And a lot of that loss was just the strategy of, I believe it was Golden Guardian Academy.
Yes, it was.
So Golden Guardian's Academy used their jungler to go to the top lane, camp him for literally 10 minutes, and get him down 0-3 by that mark. So once they get Shiro out of the game, I feel like that's one key to beating Cloud9 Academy.
Yeah, that is a strategy. However, you have to imagine, looking at that loss from last week, that Cloud9 Academy have realized what went wrong. They put Shiro onto something that was a little bit weaker in the laning phase, so he couldn't be as dominating as he would like to, and now they might want to go for something that will be able to counter into this matchup. And I believe they have red side selection going into this week, so they can easily go for the counter pick.
They could very well, but there are still some things that both Piecake Lord and Shiro like to pick together. So the Fiora comes to mind immediately. They both played Riven professionally. Yes. Not so well on Piecake Lord, but Shiro, of course, very good on this character. Poppy could come into play, especially for Shiro, not so much for Piecake Lord. But both of these players have a shared champion pool that is large and made up of a ton of these very early carries.
I think the biggest one that has been omitted has to be the Aatrox. This was something that Cloud9 Academy felt okay giving up. They did not have to take it for themselves. In fact, I don't think they drafted it until the 3rd round of rotations for their game against, last week I'm just checking that out, making sure. It was against 100 Thieves, where they didn't take it right away. They felt comfortable kind of letting it go.
And even when they let it go, they still won that game. They still had Shiro going, I believe it was, 2-3? Maybe even better, 3-1.
3-1 on he got the Aatrox eventually, but
yes,
he just ended up going really strong.
So they have the strategy figured out against Aatrox. It is no longer this must-ban pick that we've seen so many teams do. They always go for, on the red side, the Nocturne, the Aatrox, the Taliyah. Now that we have so many other options and they know how to beat Aatrox on the side of Cloud9 Academy, they can look to ban other things.
Exactly. There's so much that has been left open that you can really go for, especially in what we mentioned, this very locked-in meta with a lot of power picks. You can't really just ban Aatrox Nocturne anymore because now you just make it so you only have one real ban. Sure, Taliyah falls through sometimes, but honestly, there's just so much that has been left up that you can go for. You have Zoe, Morgana, Rakan, you have Fiddlesticks, you have just anything that really has been coming up. Varus, like you said, we have probably about 9 power picks that you can go for, and you cannot ban all 9 in the first rotation.
Mathematically impossible.
Exactly.
And speaking of picks, I want to go to the bot lane, and I want to talk about support. We've talked about Rakan and how there hasn't been much Fang play out of that professionally. Could happen. It needs to be pick banned. But the other power picks are still there. Tom Kench, Braum. Fiddlesticks actually received a few nerfs.
This is true.
Match.
To his E, I believe.
To his Dark Wind.
Yes.
Yes. So now it costs a little more mana, and I believe the cooldown was slightly increased.
Yes, it was, to make it so that he's a little bit less oppressive in the laning phase. However, it's still something that is strong enough into something like a Morgana. It can get through the Black Shield as it needs to. It just burns her down, and then you easily can get the fear.
And then there's one other pick, and I'd really like to talk about this one for a second, and it's the Soraka. Now,
Okay.
It's been shown a few times in the NA LCS. It's been shown in the EU LCS. It's had great success.
LCK with Teemo.
In the LCK with Teemo. So this is a pick that I'd really like to talk about. And Magical, I'd like to talk about your shirt for a second. It's very nice.
Yeah, I love my shirt.
Guardians of the Galaxy, I know there's not too much of a zoom in, but you see Groot, you see Rocket Raccoon, they are just all over there.
It's
And
Rabbit.
I've always been jealous of
Rabbit.
your shirts.
I
Now,
know.
I always have these boring,
Yeah, you do.
gray, single tone. Today, I'd like to try something a little different.
Oh my goodness. What's going on here?
So when we talk about power picks, I'd like to talk about the Soraka and how I think bananas are going to be the winner of this game. Fang, if you're listening to the stream right now, give me some Soraka. So anyway, Magical, there are a lot of picks that we need to be out for, and I thought I would be a little dramatic today when it came to revealing that I am in fact wearing a more colorful shirt.
Twitch chat, who wins the best shirt award?
Reveal is part of it.
Okay, I will give you that. That was a great reveal.
Thank you.
He got me off guard too, because I had
There
no
was
idea.
no expectation for that.
No,
I
he-
literally told Broadcast that I was going to do it. He was ready for it.
I actually do like that shirt. I've been wanting to get that shirt myself, to be
Yep.
honest. It is a very, very colorful shirt.
It is.
It does remind me a lot of the Shark shirt that I had before for Shark Week. That was a nice addition. Though, to actually go on your point and
Sure.
talk about Soraka
Sure,
for
we
a
can talk
moment.
about the game, I guess.
So we can talk about the game against with his beautiful, beautiful banana shirt. I'll vote for you. I have to vote for you. Yeah, that was good. I like mine though.
It is really good. Like, I saw it and I was
got
like,
Groot
damn it.
Rabbit on there.
He's going to
Yeah.
beat my joke today. My joke that I prepared for a solid hour, going to TJ Maxx earlier today, just picking out what looks most ridiculous and what can I make a few puns about.
It's just because you like seeing all the shirts I have, don't you?
Yeah, I thought yours were pretty appealing, but this one takes the cake.
There's a door right over there.
What?
I don't. You think you can get away with these puns in here? Paula is not amused.
You're telling me to split?
Oh,
Sorry, all these puns are just ripe for the taking, so it's honestly a little hard for me to stop.
right.
Right.
This is what it's come to. This is what it's come to, everybody out there. He's trying to break me inside.
I'll
He's
do it.
trying to destroy
Don't worry.
my spirit.
I got a bunch of them.
Bunch.
Thank you, Mark. Coming on the stream. He has been with us all these 8 weeks.
Mark, we love you.
And he has been incredible. Just the one-man army behind the broadcast. You have never seen him on camera before, but ladies and gentlemen, in the chat, Mark Register
All right.
is a legend.
All right. So, League of Legends.
League of Legends.
Bananas.
Bananas.
Bananas. Apples and
Bananas.
bananas. Opals and bononos.
Yeah.
Soraka.
Soraka.
Where would you put her in a composition for either of these teams right now? You look over to TSM, how they like to play. They need that tank. Soraka doesn't really fit in well with what they want to do because they need someone who can be a frontline unless they pair that up with Mike Young going on more of a tank jungler, the Sejuani, like he's been playing most of the split. That really would be the only way. And no, that was not a pun on purpose. I did not say split because of anything. Don't give me this face over here. He's trying to keep a serious face.
Trying. Succeeding.
No, I see it. They can't see the side of your face. I can see it.
It's called Hollywood magic. Thank you. I know which side is camera side.
So
I'm in profile right now.
So
That's a
then,
term for all you out there. Profile.
How does this
Sideways.
work with Cloud 9?
So with Cloud9 Academy, we see Feng very often onto Nami, onto Morgana, onto mage supports. I feel like Soraka as an enchanter is going to be a thing that he's used to. If he picks that, then we could still see a Jhin and Ashe in the bot lane, something that's relatively immobile and easy to kill.
Right.
If you put Soraka with that, then they become suddenly a lot harder to kill and a lot harder to gank, especially with that E silent circle.
True, but normally you want to go with Soraka into a lane where you're trying to assert a little bit more dominance. You're afraid that you're going to get poked out, and therefore you're staying a little bit safer. Same with Nami. She does have a little bit of good engage with the tidal wave, but that's not until level 6. A bubble can be difficult to land. So really, the Soraka, I feel like, has to go with something that is going to be afraid of getting poked out, something like into an Ezreal. That's why you saw it in the LCK when it paired with the Teemo, because it kept Teemo alive. He took a Mystic shot, heal him up, he's fine. But I just cannot think of a way that actually would work in this composition.
It would be tough, and it would be one of those week 8 sort of picks where you're just, you're the first seed, and you try to pull something out that's a little different. And that's really what I'm looking for today out of Cloud9 Academy, is trying things that are different, seeing how far you can go as a team. Because if you know your limits and you know what you can get away with on stream especially, then you can look into playoffs and say, okay, this works, this kind of works, this could use a little more practice, and then we got it. So all they needed to do is have a few more scrims, have some on-stream practice, and boom, we got it.
The thing, though, I still see Shen as being something a little bit more likely coming in from Feng. It has been his most favored support in this entire split long, going over towards Echo Fox. He played that mostly, so he really does like to have a little bit of engaged tools. And I can imagine no other way that they really want to put Feng into this matchup unless he's the engager, because Sven, he's probably going to get Gragas. I'd imagine that's his go-to. AP Gragas, get a lot more damage. Well, sure, that's good engage. You're not that tanky at that point. You need someone who can back you up, someone like Braum especially. I see that as one of the best picks, if not Shen.
It could very well work. Even Tom Kench still works. Without that engage tool, he becomes a lot less of the support that we know him for on those engagers.
Right.
He needs to be tanky. It is unlikely that he's going to pick an enchanter here, but it is likely that we're going to see the synergy between both him and Sven scaring. So you talked about the Gragas, especially. When he has that engage and he has a dive buddy with him, then he becomes all the more stronger in those mid-game team fights.
Yeah, so this will be really interesting to kind of look at, because last time we look over to TSM Academy playing against Cloud9 Academy, honestly, when TSM drafted, they didn't have that coherent of a composition. They had Fiddlesticks for Shady. He did great with flanks, but the problem was they really had to rely on those flanks. If he ever got caught out before the team could collapse with him, they lost their engage tool. They lost the way to blow these flashes, Guardians, Angels, Zonias, and that's what fell apart for TSM Academy in the last time they faced off. And I can only imagine that they're going to draft something similar here. They're going to try to go for something maybe like Morgana or Khan to the bot lane, where they can have Shady as an engage flanker tool. But that leaves them open because none of the rest of the team really likes to go in line of a great frontline person.
No, they don't. And I want to talk about that game that you've just mentioned, where we had TSM Academy versus Cloud9 Academy. That game did have a slight advantage to TSM Academy, not in gold, but in objectives. And the game, and as we talked about with highlights last week, came down to a Fiddlesticks flank that ultimately went a little too far overextended. If TSM Academy wants to win this, they have to really control where Shady's going, and they have to be with him. As you said, no one likes to play engages, so really it just comes down to everyone following.
Plus, they need Piecake Lord to really beat with the team, because that was another problem, is first Shady got caught out, then Piecake Lord got caught out, and Cloud9 were able to end the game right after that. And with how this Cloud9 Academy team have been playing, even just looking at the normal Cloud9 team themselves, once they get that little bit of a lead, they end the game as quickly as humanly possible. And thank you, Mark. He got me a Red Bull. I need that. Gimme.
Our desk is also like super far away from our chairs sometimes.
It got further away each day.
Yeah.
Like it
was
was
a glacier.
It was like right like
a really fast
before,
glacier.
and it just.
But it's made of clouds.
Is that fast though? Because
for a glacier, that's really fast.
Yeah, I guess
Isn't it like a foot a year?
Yeah.
And this has clearly moved like a foot in 2 weeks.
I think that's more than a foot. That's like
like 3 feet in
like
2
3
weeks.
feet.
Yeah. So that's super fast
That
for
is
a
really
glacier.
fast.
And again, I guess this would be a smaller glacier, so that's even faster when you think about it.
All right, I like that comment right there.
It's trash.
No, thresh. is what they're wanting to say. It says pick
Oh.
trash, but it's Thresh next to it.
I see.
And that's something you were actually talking to me off stage about, is picking Thresh right now. And I theorize that we'll only see a Thresh if we have nothing but support bans coming in. So I think you gave me a statistic of a 0.05% chance that Thresh will be picked.
And that was done mathematically. I did all the math last night. It took me a very long time to get exactly the ratios down there, but 0.05% is my guess, or excuse me, my academic estimate.
Academic estimate.
Academic estimate.
So what has to happen? How does Thresh get picked and who picks it?
All right. So hear me out here.
All right, this is the conspiracy theory time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it has to be all 6 bans on support. You have to ban out Braum. You have to ban out Tom Kench. You have to ban out Nami. You have to ban out Fiddlesticks. Yes, I know. A little strange, right? You have to ban out Rakan. Obvious. But it has to be 5th.
What about Pyke?
Pyke is the 6th. So now you have all 6 bans.
Okay.
Once those are down, all that's left is Enchanter supports. You have Lulu, you have Janna, you have Soraka.
What if they pick a support right away?
Ha 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 ha. That's where you think. See, what
Uh-huh.
happens is first pick picks Zoe because they realize that's the strongest pick. Now, Red side, Cloud9 Academy has the option to lock in that Thresh as their second pick because they see the Zoe. You know what goes good against Zoe? Things that can hook Zoe.
What about Aatrox and Nocturne? His face is twitching right now, guys. So Zoe, Aatrox, Nocturne. And then after that, Varus.
I'm wearing a banana shirt right now. So anyway, 0.05% chance for Thresh to show up. I very much don't expect it. He did receive some buffs on 8.15, where his E auto attack was empowered, so get the whip going. And he did, I believe, receive a cooldown buff on his Dark Passage, his lantern.
Is that when we're gonna get the Simon Belmont coming in? Simon Belmont style. Cha! Whip him.
Was confirmed for Smash 5. So get excited.
No, King K. Rool is the one I'm excited for.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that's gonna be fun.
A lot of fun.
But I mean,
can King K. Rool summon Wall Chicken?
He can't. You do have a fair point, but he can use his belly to counter things and belly bop them back.
Counter.
Exactly, so
Easy.
exactly. So
They're both great characters, and I think it's going to be a fun game.
Oh my god.
Not as fun as League of Legends, especially Cloud9 Academy versus TSM Academy.
Well, this one right here only matters for TSM Academy.
Yes.
So Cloud9 Academy winning this game will stop the dreams of TSM. They would pretty much have to hope that the teams that are sitting right now in 6th place lose 0-2 this weekend.
Yes.
They have to have that happen, and that is going to be the thing that is so big for TSM Academy if they drop this game right here. And it's going to be a daunting task against the 14-2 Cloud9 Academy.
Very difficult, and especially having the 0-1 record against them with such a strong performance out of Cloud9 Academy. They already know what they're up against. They know this is a scary team, and they know that there is a weakness as well.
Exactly. What is that weakness?
That weakness is Shiro. And not to say Shiro's been playing bad, but anytime Shiro gets shut down, those are the loss conditions for Cloud9 Academy.
Exactly, and that will be really interesting to see how Cloud9 Academy play around that. You have to know, Svenskeren, seasoned veteran in League of Legends as a jungler. He has amazing pathing and has to know that you look over towards Shiro, he is someone to keep alive. You make sure he gets ahead. Just one kill could be all you need.
Exactly, and if you get that one kill and you have a strong enough top laner in Pycake Lord, then all you have to do is snowball it into a victory, move to the mid game, and use those advantages from the top lane for the rest of the team on a gangplank or any sort of carry.
This is very, very true. Honestly, Shiro, while he is a weakness, is a strength. This guy has been playing out of his mind in almost every single game, having the 2 losses, sure, but that's out of 16 games that they have those losses. He's sitting on a record of 14-2. This guy has been doing a great job so far.
Also the only consistent member of Cloud9 Academy playing all 16 games. You don't see that very often. This team has moved around a lot, but no matter who he's with, he's always putting out a good performance. The Singed was a little questionable.
The Singe was a little questionable. I'd say the Gangplank is even more so.
Yeah.
I doubt we're going to see Gangplank coming in from him this
Unlikely.
week. Pie Kick Lord, maybe. But really, I want to see Shiro on something that he's comfortable with. I want to see him not necessarily on a Mundo, not on a Poppy, but give me that Fiora, give me that Riven, give me that Aatrox, something where he will take over the game 1v9.
That's another set of champions that you're just not going to see bans on. Maybe Aatrox, but seeing a Riven ban would be incredibly surprising. Seeing any Fiora bans would be surprising. If you're targeting him in the first round of drafts, then what are you doing? You're losing out on a lot of power picks.
Yeah, with Zoe, Morgana. I mean, we can go through the list again if you guys really want to.
A lot of fun.
That list is massive.
Yes.
That you can play, and not much of it is in the top lane. You have really just Aatrox and Mundo.
Yep.
Those are the two top laners where it's like they have to be banned. Well, Mundo not necessarily so. He's tanky, but not really going to take over the game. Not like an Aatrox will.
And also his 814 nerfs made him a lot weaker, with his Q returning a little bit less health if he misses.
Right.
So he's actually a laning weakness if he were to go into this game, especially in the top lane now. He is not the dominant pick that he used to be.
Exactly. So I highly doubt we're going to see too much priority onto that. But really, now we have the game getting close to starting. It hasn't quite started just yet. But let's talk
Very
some
soon.
of the spicier picks. You already mentioned your bananas.
Bananas.
We mentioned Teemo. What else do you got for me?
If I were to think about a super spicy pick, and you've been wanting this forever, we've seen this in the LCK once, and it has a 100% win rate. We were talking about this just before we started the broadcast, the Amumu.
Predator AP Amumu.
Predator AP Amumu.
Keep that in mind. Of course, it was by Yondu. Let's keep this in mind. And Yondu, formerly known as Beyond, has been a legacy Amumu player. He has been one of the few people to play it every year for a while, just to make sure that it at least has one game a year. He played it last year, was the only person. The year before that was the only person. He makes sure that it at least stays around a little bit.
It's called representation, and you got to have that if you're going into picks and bans. It's definitely something Svenskeren could pick up. It's very much his play style in that it's engage and it's AP. So you never know.
But talk about pick and bans. We are getting underway for TSM Academy and Cloud9 Academy. TSM really do need to pick up this win if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. But as we get into the pick and bans, Morgana and Nocturne, pretty much something that we expect to see. But the Lee Sin, now that is interesting, and I did not expect to see a ban on that.
You never quite expect the Lee Sin. But when you have it against yeah, he has to come out every now and again. When you see a Lee Sin ban, that means Svenskeren has been playing it in scrims, and he must have been popping off during those. It's a very strong pick in 8-15. Still unexpected as a ban.
It's also something Svenskeren has literally been playing since before his competitive debut. Not too surprised to see TSM go, you know what? Not even going to test it. Don't want to deal with that. Please get that away from me. Thank you very much. But red side, Cloud9 going with the very typical bans in Nocturne and Aatrox. I am a little surprised that they didn't try to flex that a little bit to try to get some of these really powerful picks onto their roster.
And finally, a Xayah ban. This has been a very interesting... No.
Wait. I thought she wasn't...
I thought she was disabled. I guess she's not. Well... This is a surprise, ladies and gentlemen. We thought that this was going to be a very standard draft, maybe a bit of for fun games, but this is a new Akali being locked in for either Pie-Cake Lord or Blazed Olive. Most likely Pie-Cake Lord.
I'm happy.
I'm very happy. We can talk about Akali all day, and we're Khan. This is another surprise.
Yeah, we didn't mention Akali before because we didn't expect to see it because we thought it was banned, like, you know, just permanently banned, but it's not. And now... With that picked right away, you have a lot of these powerful picks. Zoe's still left open. We can see that you have Fiddlesticks, you have Braum, you have Tom Kench. Over for Cloud9, we're going to see Fang's first competitive Rakan game as they get Kai'Sa with that 4-key, something he has actually been playing a decent amount as well.
He's very good on this. He's been practicing it for the last few months. It's very strong in every competitive scene, no matter where you're going. And paired with a Rakan, that it has so much option for damage, because when you have CC paired with Kai'Sa, her passive procs all the more often, and suddenly she becomes a real threat into the mid and late game.
This is what we're talking about when you look over towards a lot of the powerful picks. Kindred was left open, so they get over for Mike Young. Kind of surprised to see him going on to something that's going to be a little bit more scaling into the game. Would have probably preferred to have him on something a little bit more aggressive, especially into Svenskeren, because I got to imagine that right now they're going to grab that Gragas, otherwise it will be banned. because you just don't want to deal with Sven Skaren's Gragas. But Zoe, Zed, still left open. Zed would be an interesting pick because it's not into that Zoe, but does have a very powerful matchup into Pancake Lord or into a Blaze Olive, whoever does go for that Akali, but the Gragas is locked in.
Blind pick would be an incredible risk because Akali can flex, easily go top, and if you're against
Zero on Zed, let's go.
Oh boy, the spiciness. And
like that.
Looking back at TSM Academy, I look at two very damage-heavy carries on their side, as well as a Braum, and I love the Braum pickup because that's very much Shady style of play, engage, tank, able to peel off for the back line. So whatever they pick as their AD carry, they can be sure that it's protected and they have a tank line.
However, it is into a Kaisa Rakan matchup, so it's going to have to stay very close to whoever Mr. Rawless does get for that AD carry role, be it a mage, be it an actual AD carry, like we could have seen Varus, but it's banned. Jhin is another option. Ashe is another option for Mr. Rawless. And TSM Academy are actually going to ban Riven, hitting at Shiro's champion pool, so maybe they just go for the two top laners and they try to make sure that they get a very even matchup on that top side of the map.
Yeah, and at the same time, Cloud9 Academy targeting out Mr. Rawless, making sure he can't get onto a standard pick, but there's still the Jhin left open. So
right.
That might be the automatic grab. At the same time, Cloud9 Academy might be using that as a bait.
Right, it's going to be the final ban coming in from TSM Academy, so putting Golden Glue onto something that's not quite as strong. Rise has been coming back into the meta as past weeks have been, but look at that Poppy going to be the pickup. And that's actually a great counter to Akali and has always been a great counter to Akali because she goes for her Shadow Dash in. She tries to get onto the back line. Well, she can't. She's knocked up. And with how they've changed how her ult works on Akali, it's actually a lot easier to stop a lot of her CC and her execute damage.
Only has one form of CC, and we're going to talk a lot about reworked Akali because she is in the game. The first part of her R, which is a dash, has a 0.5 second stun on the initial dash. Yep. On the second dash, it is an execute that does magical damage.
Exactly, but it also does have a delay of 2.5 seconds.
Yeah, it's a really long delay.
It's a long delay. I know I played it because I was upset by it because I was like, I can get the kill, get the kill.
And then you 3 seconds. What am I doing?
I guess I don't, but look at that. Mr. Rawless is actually going to go for a very strong combination in the bot lane with Braum and Lucian. You can easily get the concussive blow stacks a lot quicker with the double shot coming in from Lucian, as in the top side. Going to be Cho'Gath, which is a nice pick into tanks such as Shiro playing that Poppy. But this is so interesting. We know for a fact a Blaze Olive is now going to be on that Akali. Golden Glue could go for that Zed. Assassin v Assassin, or he can go for Fizz if he wants to.
Fizz, also receiver of buffs in 815, getting up on his ratio on both W and R, and that is locked in. So we have an Assassin v Assassin mid lane. This is extremely exciting.
Really exciting because you look over to Akali. She's really weak in the laning phase. It takes a lot of energy for her to clear out these waves. Fizz, not known for clearing out waves very fast, but you have to imagine that that's not going to be Golden Glue's mindset here. He's going to be setting his target right on to a Blaze Olive, trying to get these early kills.
It could very well happen, and Fizz definitely has the early game advantage versus Akali. However, because Akali has the reworked Shroud, it is very difficult for Fizz to land his Q onto her because he cannot target anyone, even within vision, that is in that Shroud.
Yeah, but you can easily use the Shark if you want to grab them. Doesn't matter if she goes away and she's invisible. Once the Shark does latch on, going to be the AoE damage that gets onto her, and you're going to be able to follow that around. I actually really do like this Fizz pickup into Akali because it does actually counter a lot of what Akali wants to do. Oh, I go invisible? Well, it doesn't matter. I throw the Shark into the fog, see if it hits, connect. Well, there she is. I eat her now.
Well, yeah, and now that's going to be the story of the game. I thought it was going to be a lot of top lane dominance, but both are on tanks. We have Cho'Gath, which was a bit of a bait coming out of TSM Academy, thinking Pycake Lord always plays carries, is going to be on the Akali. Instead, they saved the last pick for him, and it's Cho'Gath.
But I also like the fact that they do pick the Poppy over for Shiro, because something that Pycake Lord has been playing a lot of is Jace. Jace was something that I almost thought he was going to go for, but when you pick Poppy, you can no longer go for that. The moment he tries to jump in, Steadfast Presence knocks him back, takes away almost all of his damage.
And yes, it does, but the Cho'Gath pick is great into Poppy because he has no dashes. There's nothing that Poppy can interrupt other than using that E in order to charge him into a wall.
Exactly.
Otherwise, she is at his mercy. He can just land his Vorpal Spikes, he can just use his Feral Scream, from range, and he can get a ton of damage onto her just from collateral.
Yeah, so the laning phase should be in favor of Pykick Lord, and this is something we mentioned before that Shiro needs to get a lot of help from Svenskeren on Gragas. What we wanted to see him on, something that can punish and bully around Mike Young on Kindred.
It's definitely a pick that he is comfortable with, and he has shown time and time again in this split and other splits that he is comfortable doing. If he camps the top lane, I feel like that's going to help out a lot for the team, because Shiro has been the deciding factor in so many of these games that if he gets ahead early, he's going to have the ability to carry the game.
So now we have to move our attention to the bot lane. We look over to that Kai'Sa with Rakan, Feng's first competitive game on Rakan. But this isn't something new. He actually has been practicing this quite a bit offset, where he's been trying to get this practice for this kind of matchup.
He's had a couple scrims with it, but in solo queue primarily, he's been practicing this Rakan. Almost half his games have been on this character. He has practiced Rakan for a long time, making sure that it is stage ready before he brings it out for the first time.
Right, and this is paired up with Kai'Sa. Very, very great into the late game coming in from Keith, and this is something we like to see out of him. We like to see him scaling up into the late game, because we gotta know how his laning phase can be a little bit sometimes, and it's gonna be difficult into Lucian especially. Lucian-Braum matchup is a dominating and powerful laning phase to go up against.
I was very surprised that they opted into a Kai'Sa versus Lucian matchup. Yes, the Lucian was picked later, but picking up the Kai'Sa invites the Lucian. So when you see Lucian, he's such a lane bully into the early and mid game that when he goes against a Kai'Sa who scales into the mid and late, that he has an earlier power spike and is able to get really far ahead of her. And paired with Braum, who I think he has maximal synergy with.
Exactly.
He has so many options available to him, both in the lane and into the mid game.
Completely agree with you. That's going to be such a difficult lane. Now, it's going to be difficult for Svenskeren. Where does he focus? Does he try to go down to the bot lane, really try to keep Keith and Feng alive, or does he focus on Shiro in the top lane? They have these losing matchups, but this is why it's nice for that mid lane we talked about for Golden Glue. Fizz into Akali. Because one thing about both of them, they are assassins who do not like to stay in the lane.
There's a lot of roaming potential here, and them going to the bot lane especially, which I have to predict is going to be the initial option, is going to be down to who goes first. Is it going to be the Akali, or is it going to be Fizz? However, the thing about Fizz is he has to wait until 6 before his full assassin potential awakens. With Akali, she still has a lot of damage coming in pre-6.
I don't know what kind of Fizz you've been playing. I be the one Fizz that goes level 2, try to dive them.
Oh, the cheese.
Yeah,
very good.
See,
I was looking for a cheese shirt earlier today, and I couldn't find one.
That would have actually been really funny. Oh, no,
Banana's
that's an idea.
close second.
That's an idea. I should have gone. I should have gotten that. Anyways.
Yeah.
One thing I do want to talk about, though, is if you look over to the summoner spells, that was a lot of Ignite for both teams. Supports both getting Ignite, mid lane both getting Ignite. I believe there's the heal for Keith compared to the teleport over for Mr. Rawless. I almost said Mike Young for a second. Over for, because that would be weird if
that
you
would
had,
be
jungler
weird
with teleport. But
just teleport smite.
Actually, I've done that before.
Super dank.
Did you ever do that with Rammus back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
The
when you had the home guards? Yeah,
the cheese strat where you get the home guards, you rush out of
Spicy.
base, you go right into the lane, you put the ward down, everyone teleports over to the ward.
Yep.
Those were some fun days back in the day.
Very curated cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I do wish you had a cheese shirt.
I know. Would have so much more to talk about, but I wrote all these banana puns, so at least I'm ready for that.
See, now it's worse that you wrote the banana puns down.
You know how we were just sitting out there and I was like writing in my book? I was writing banana puns the whole time. Understand that I was ready. And speaking of ready, I am ready for this game. I
am as well. Will be the final game that we get to see here for the Academy season for the summer split here on the Cloud9 broadcast. It's going to be TSM Academy going up against Cloud9 Academy. Cloud9 Academy have locked in first place regardless of the result of this game, but TSM Academy, they're fighting for that playoffs. They want to get in.
Big mistake, though, on the side of Cloud9 Academy. Fizz not using Fisherman Fizz or Cottontail Fizz.
But it is Omega Squad Fizz, and so that, in my mind, is okay. You can disagree. You can disagree.
It's not the worst skin. I just feel like it's not optimal.
So if it was Cottontail Fizz?
Yeah. Optimal.
Optimal?
Optimal.
Okay. Gotcha. Just making sure when I go in for my...
ultimate disrespect.
I see what you're saying right here. Because right now, Feng does get a little bit of poke onto Shady. Gets rid of the bone plating. But takes one Winter's Bite to the face. Should be able to walk away. Might get the concussive blows coming in from Mr. Rawlins, but good body block from Keith to try to keep his support, at least from getting stunned up.
Starting the Q was very risky on the side of Fang. Yes, it's a little more poke, and yes, it's a little bit more zoning potential, but at the same time, he doesn't have any option to get away, and his engage is not going to be good until level 2.
TSM will steal away this blue buff, but you can already see it that is respected by Cloud9 Academy. They forfeit it, trading blue buff on the top side. Shiro helping out Sven Skaren so that they can at least get a little bit of zone control on the top side of the map.
Great adjustment on the side of Cloud9 Academies, knowing that they're getting invaded and immediately going to the blue. Sven Skaren does still get the buff that he wants in the beginning and doesn't lose out on anything against Mike Young.
However, it is sitting on a ward, so they'll know that he's going for everything on the top side of the map. He's going for the wolves right now. Gotta imagine he's going to go for the Gromp. So, really, Mike Young is going to have a lot of free time on the map. However, did not get the RNG going his way. Scuttle Crab spawned on the top side of the map.
It's a 50-50, and Mike Young losing out on that. However, still happy to pick up a Scuttle Crab and possibly roam up to the bot side. It looks like he's not going to be able to roam up to the top side, but rather to his own red.
Should be pretty easy, just going to be splitting the map right in half. But keeps Sven Skaren on the top side. This is going to be nice for Shiro going up into Pykick Lord because he's already gotten that level lead over Cho'Gath. So this is nice for Poppy to at least maintain a little bit of dominance when you have some power over Cho'Gath.
It's a little bit, but in the beginning, a little bit is all you need. Golden Glue getting a lot of damage.
Jumping back, Blaze Olive going really aggressive onto Golden Glue. Gets both summoners out of Golden Glue. He used that Ignite to try to hold onto the vision onto Blaze Olive.
Really close right there, but Golden Glue just going a little more aggressive than he needed to, burning both of his summoners there. Blazed Olive still has his Ignite, still has his Flash, able to go in whenever he chooses.
However, Golden Glue is sitting on the Corrupting Pots, so he's going to be able to heal up pretty effectively, trying to see if he can trade up as much as possible, get rid of the Twilight Shroud every single time he can. That is a lot of damage that still comes in from a Blaze Olive on this Akali with the low energy. You can tell that Sven Skaren wants to go for this engage. He wants to go for the gank. But that aggressive positioning from Golden Glue did kind of indicate that something might be up.
Yep, that was very wise on a Blazed Olive. I have to talk about this Twilight Shroud a little bit because that is very much Akali's kit right now. It has a very long cooldown in the beginning. I believe it's 24 seconds.
It's 26.
26
It's
seconds.
incredibly hot.
Super long for a basic ability. And when you use it, you become extremely vulnerable the second that it's gone. However, you can always increase the duration of the ability by dodging in and out of it and casting that invisibility at multiple different times. That makes it last a little longer.
Right now, Mr. Rollins actually just teleported back into the lane so he can get the double longsword, so they have a little bit more of an advantage into this Kai'Sa lane. We already mentioned before, Lucian should be having a very high chance into this lane to be able to get some kills, but this is going to make it a little bit worse. And Blaze Olive, I actually have to respect how he's playing this Fizz matchup, because anytime Fizz goes in, you just see the shuriken hit, Fizz tries to jump away with the Playful Trickster, jump right back in to get the electrocute.
It's one of the nice things about reworked Akali. She has dashes now that are pre-6. So you saw that kickback shuriken. If it hits an enemy champion, she can dash immediately back to it for about 3 seconds, I believe the mark lasts.
Yes.
Yeah. So once you dash back, you have the ability to use your Q and use the Twilight Shroud so you can get out.
It's going to be a very strong lane for Blaze Olive. As long as he plays this one well, Golden Glue is sitting a level behind, but just gets back into the lane, still waiting for those summoners to come back up. Probably doesn't want to go too aggressive because he knows that Blaze Olive still holds on to both Ignite and Flash.
Both summoners being up means that's not going to be a great assassination target. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, I'm surprised that TSM Shady and Mr. Raleigh are getting pushed in right now because this seemed like such a strong lane. And because this strong lane is getting pushed in, they're going to lose a lot of their early advantage.
However, we have to keep in mind that it's partly due to this Rakan. Anytime you try to poke at them, you use that Quill to get a little bit of heal. And now, this is what we wanted to see coming in from Golden Glue, is going for the roam. Not spotted out at all. You can tell that they have Mr. Rawlins in the eye trying to get the engage from the Grand Entrance, but has to get out with the Battle Dance. Fang is too squishy. Could have easily gone down in that fight.
Pykick Lord also sacrificing his teleport there to make sure that they stayed safe. Mr. Raleigh and Shady having great moves there, especially Mr. Raleigh dodging out of the Rakan engage and able to get out without taking any damage.
Hero's got to be really careful. That feast is coming up really quick. Might go for the first blood on Pykick Lord, and that's what happens when Cho'Gath gets an advantage over Poppy.
We talked about how this was a great lane for Cho'Gath, and now that he has the first solo kill, he's going to be an exponentially difficult monster for Shiro to take out.
This is why we kind of wanted to see Sven playing around the top side of the map. We wanted to see something, but let's take a look at this attempted No, this is actually going to be that kill, the solo kill from Cake Lord.
Yes, indeed. So in the top lane, it's just Cake Lord moving forward, using his abilities, landing all of them. And Shiro realized there's actually nothing he can do. Could have flashed out there, but realizes that Cake Lord would have just flashed after.
Exactly. It would have been a waste of a flash. Didn't want to do it. Had TP up already, so he just gave over the kill. But now this is the engage from Golden Glue. Hit the fish, goes for the jump in onto Blaze Olive, but only gets the flash out of him.
Once again, using his Ignite and not getting the kill. That puts Golden Glue back once again. However, the flash was a good take.
Exactly, and with Golden Glue's flash coming up of cooldown in just a couple of seconds, it actually is going to be a really nice play where he can rinse and repeat. Use Chum the Waters in just a couple minutes and be able to get that kill.
Yes, indeed, and Blazed Olive also using his ultimate there. It has a much longer cooldown than it used to before. It was about a 30-second recharge rate, I believe, for level 1 in the pre-rework. Now it's about a 90-second cooldown.
It is.
So without that, she's going to be a lot less mobile and a lot less able to deal with games.
A lot more similar to how Spirit Rush works with
Yes.
Ahri, where you have to use all of the dashes within a certain window. If you don't, then it just goes on cooldown completely.
And you only have 2. So if you're going to dash away, you don't quite have the mobility of Ahri. At the same time, they have a slightly longer range.
Right now, with that first blood picked up by Cake Lord, does seem like the advantage is over for TSM. However, the lanes that we were kind of fearing for, especially this Kai'Sa lane, haven't been going too detrimentally. We got the backs already coming in from Keith, picked up that BF sword compared to just the Bilgewater Cutlass on Mr. Wallace. So really, Keith is doing a fantastic job at making sure to not get hit, not get hurt by this Lucian.
I do have to question the BF sword buy. Yes, it's a very powerful spike, but that means you're going into a Storm Razor as your first item. I don't think that's the most optimal build for Kai'Sa right now. Usually most pros go for an AP build when having Kai'Sa in the early game, just because it's a little more damage. But being the only AD source of damage, I suppose that was the only option. However, impractical it is.
So we look over to the gold differential between the two teams. There's a good difference between Shiro and Cake Lord, about 400 gold separating the two, and that's what you expect with the first blood picked up by Cake Lord. But it's on a Cho'Gath, not necessarily someone who carries a team, not really someone who you're going to be too threatened by, even though, of course, the Feast is scary. Once Shiro gets a little bit more resistances, he's not going to be too threatened.
And health. Health is going to be extremely important against this team. Cho'Gath has the outplay potential with that Feast. However, if he gets ahead, you can kite him extremely easily. When you have a Gragas for disengage and you have a Rakan to go in as the counter engage, then Cho'Gath becomes way less of a threat later on.
Right now, Golden Glue trying to see if he can at least maintain the CS tie and stalemate with the Blaze Olive, but right now they're going and finding out Cake Lord, who is playing way too aggressive. Why in the world were you trying to steal away that red buff?
His vision was only on the red buff, and that Control Ward didn't reveal the other two until it was way too late there. That was extremely aggressive and very questionable on Cake Lord's part.
And I understand that Mike Young has been doing a great job at running circles around Svenskeren at the current moment, but that doesn't mean that you should feel free to go steal a red buff with no vision on anybody against a Fizz in mid lane who can easily look for a rotation to jump onto you.
Yep, and speaking of rotations, Akali rotating that scythe around her, able to get out and dodge the fish. So that's going to be down for another 90 seconds.
Mike Young, again, doing a great job with the jungle control, takes the first dragon of the game. It's a Mountain Drake, too, so that's really going to help out when they get to the late game, trying to see if they can get down these objectives. But Fang goes pretty aggressive onto Shady. Takes a massive chunk himself.
For Fang's first game on Rakan, I have not seen any mistakes so far against such an aggressive early lane. So far, it's been great, but it will determine if he's great in the mid game, whether he gets these engages or not.
Right now, I'm curious to see how they're going to really play around once they have the engage tool of Fang utilized in a proper manner. Quickness is up, but Mike Young has been playing consistently towards the bottom side of the map, but he's leaving. Svenskeren's already showing up, and it might be a little bit too late. Here comes the Fissure. Mike Young trying to see if he can show up. Fang has to be really careful. Teleport's going to be completed. They're trying to see if they can get the Feast onto Fang, but it's Svenskeren doing a great job at body blocking. Backing back in the cast. It's going to be Cake Lord, but it wasn't in range of Fang. Now Blaze Olive looking for the rotation but everyone of Cloud9 is going to be able to get out. Unfortunately, they will probably lose this first Brick Gold.
TSM Academy making the first proactive move of this game, teleporting down and sending 5 members to the bot side. Despite the lack of kills, they were still able to pick up this first turret gold, and that's going to propel them even further in the score.
That's going to give them a massive edge over Cloud9. Shiro is only able to get about 50% damage onto this turret. Not really that much, especially as Poppy, so shouldn't be able to take it down unless, of course, we have a miracle. But let's take a look at this play. It's very aggressive out of Cloud9.
Cloud9 Academy tried to make a gank there, not realizing that Mike Young was in the area. And because of that, Fang went a little too low, and they got far too aggressive when they didn't need to be. This was a great cast coming out, but unfortunately the damage was already gone because Keith had no mana.
Almost a really bad cast because it knocked Pycake Lord right next to Fang, but now Blaze Olive, he's the one who got hit up by Chum the Waters. That's a lot of damage. Flash in with the body slam. Flash coming in from a Blaze Olive.
Damage!
Underneath the damage of Blaze Olive is absurd onto Golden Glue. Backline lands for Frost to try to get a little bit more help onto Blaze Olive, but then Scarin taken down by Kindred before he can get out.
So that's another 2 kills going over to TSM Academy. You see Akali's build is the Hex Drinker, and that is what kept her alive in that gank.
Honestly, that is great for TSM Academy. They've been playing this one very much on the knife's edge. You can even say on the comma's edge over for Akali. But really, I know you're laughing, but let's look at this replay because it looked like a good play coming in from Cloud9.
It was. It was a good proactive play. Svenskaren flashed in for the body slam, but they just underestimated a Blazed Olive both in defensiveness and damage. As you can see, Golden Glue going extremely low, extremely fast.
Now, TSM Academy, they are going pedal to the metal, taking down that Rift Herald as well. They already got the first brick gold. They're looking to just open up more and more turrets, but Golden Glue does not want to give over a free stack to Mike Young. Unfortunately, they do not land the W coming in from Kaisa.
It's a very difficult thing to land, and unfortunately, even with 4 members right there ready to go in, they were not able to land the crucial skill shots, and Mike Young gets out. And that's going to be a very bad omen for the rest of this game.
Now, looking over towards this game, Cloud9 Academy are down in gold. They're not too far down, though. It's about 2,000 separating the two teams, but it's still a deficit for Cloud9, who love to have this early aggression, get these leads, and snowball out of control.
And while they can play proactively, it's still very important to play proactively as early as humanly possible. We said it would come down to the mid lane, who roams first, and that was the Fizz, but it turned out to be a dud of a roam, and that has caused this team to fail. So
right now, looking over towards how TSM are going to play, they're probably going to continue these roams. Blaze Olive has that Hex Drinker. Bilgewater Cutlass probably going to look for the Hextech Revolver soon. That's a lot of damage coming in from Akali.
Sure is, and one great thing about Akali is you can flex your builds as much as possible. You can see so much AD coming in. She works as either a bruiser or an AP assassin, so feel free to build her with that Maw of the Malmortius, or if you want to, go ahead, build AP. It doesn't matter, she works with both.
That's something that is nice actually about her rework, is that they did try to see if they can maintain that. But Golden Glue hasn't been getting the most effective engages on a Blaze Olive. In
Fish
fact,
lands.
Using the fish once again, but a Blaze Olive is doing a great job at always disengaging the moment it lands.
And you would think Gragas would be a great counter into Akali because he can cast her out of the Twilight Shroud, but getting that initial hit is extremely difficult if you can't see her.
Not to mention that she's able to just jump back with her E, so even you're like, okay, we have her. She jumps back, she gets the mark. She's very, very mobile. You mentioned it before. She's no longer as immobile as she once was.
And she doesn't even need a target for that E. It is a skill shot, so she can back up, and it works on the Twilight Shroud, so she can dash back to it.
Mike Young has snuck his way through the lane into those brushes, but Svenskaren's trying to see if he can get in. Mike Young has showed himself, so just trying to see if they can push out the wave and maybe back off. They still do hold on to the Rift Herald.
Still available to them. About half the time has been used now, about 2/3. So if they're going to use it, they have to use it quickly, whether it's the top or the mid lane. It looks like the bot lane will not be their destination.
Golden Glue got a lot of damage onto Blaze Olive, but did spot out the rotation coming in from TSM Academy. Shady and Mike Young both moving as one unit to try to see if they can go onto the over-aggressive fish.
They're trying their best, but the fish still remains incredibly difficult to hit. So both Akali and Fizz, very, very non-ideal targets.
So I gotta ask you right now, Sam, looking over towards this game, Cloud9, what has to be the gameplay? How do they get back into this game?
At this point, I've said over so many weeks how reactive and proactive play are both great, but proactive is generally better. In this case, reactive play might just be what they need. If they find someone going over aggressive, especially Mike Young or Pycake Lord, they should look to capitalize on overextensions.
This is almost deja vu, going back to the last time these two teams met, where TSM actually were the ones with the lead. They were the ones that were making the proactive plays, but it was, exactly as you mentioned, catching out the members of TSM Academy that got Cloud9 Academy that victory. And the Rift Herald is popped in the mid lane. That turret no longer meant for this world.
Ah, well, there it goes, and that turret will fall immediately as there is no defense quite ready for Cloud9 Academy. Boom goes the turret.
And unfortunately, Fizz is not the best at taking down the Rift Herald really quickly. Does have Fang in the area, so they will at least make sure that no damage happens to the tier 2. But losing your outer turret in mid lane does mean that you lose a lot of control in your own jungle. And the second Mountain Drake taken by TSM Academy. Mike Young has really been proving himself this game on this Kindred, something that is a lot more of having to scale up into the game, but he has been farming up beautifully, running circles around Svenskeren.
And we talk about gold leads. Once again on your screen, you can see a 500 gold lead for the Kindred on the side of TSM Academy, and in the mid lane, also a 300 gold deficit. All across the board, we see, oh my goodness, looking at the bot lane, oof. Just noticed that Shady and Fang have about a 1,000 gold difference advantage, TSM Academy.
I mean, that is just between the supports, though. We do have to keep that in mind. It's not necessarily the worst thing for Cloud9 Academy, especially since a lot of that gold is going to be put right back in towards getting the control awards, making sure to clear out the jungle as best as possible. But it is still in your lead nonetheless, like you mentioned. When we find a 2,500 lead for TSM Academy, at 17.5 minutes, 2 Mountain Drakes, they're going to be able to take down these turrets, take down these objectives very quickly.
They definitely have a team that's great for taking out objectives. Between Lucian and Kindred, you were able to get turrets while at the same time having Cho'Gath missing the eat on the dragon. I'm going to point that out to you, PyKcord. If you miss that eat, then that means the stack is not yours, but still an objective secured nonetheless.
Gorallas didn't have Shady nearby, so was forced to use the Relentless Pursuit just to get back towards the turret, keeping that as healthy as humanly possible. No turret has fallen yet for TSM Academy, not even this top lane one that is very, very weak, but low 20% health.
They've been trying so hard on the side of Cloud9 Academy to get that turret down, but the pressure has always been matched, and TSM Academy have not yielded yet.
Hero going very aggressive onto PyKcord. Not threatened in the slightest, was going incredibly aggressive, but look at this damage. Golden Glue does throw out the Chum the Waters just to zone back Blaze Olive, so he couldn't go for the jump back onto Fizz, but really that is a huge cooldown to lose just to make sure that you survive momentarily.
Speaking of cooldowns, now that we have an engaged top, never mind.
Engage coming in from Mr. Rollis, but he does not realize that Svenskeren is in the area, but Keith massively chunked out, and with Mike Young right around the wings, Svenskeren cannot look to turn this around. They might have to forfeit this top tier 1 turret.
And the lane bully coming back again, even in the mid game, still very far ahead of Keith, who has yet to finish his second item and therefore has no evolutions.
Hero still playing it incredibly aggressive. Doesn't matter what champion you're on. Doesn't matter how far your team is behind. But now Blaze Olive looks like he's found out. Keith does get a little bit of shield coming back in from Killer Instinct. But here comes Mr. Rollins with the calling to finish off Kaisa. Cloud9 Academy were not able to stop that engage.
There's just so much damage. Whoa, hello.
Fang, unfortunate on that one. Yikers.
That was the fat finger coming out. Hate to see it, but that will be one less engaged tool from the side of Cloud9 Academy. At the same time, they get a turret. It's something. It's not great.
Getting a turret, but they did lose the top tier 1. They have all their tier 1s taken away, and with TSM looking to continue this pressure on to these inner turrets, on to the tier 2s, they'll at least get this down to 25% health with how quickly both Mr. Rollis and Mike Young, actually they take it down, look at that.
There was no way to contest that. They knew Svenskeren's ult was down, they knew Keith was coming out of base, and there's no home guards yet as this is pre-20 minutes, so no defense could be mounted on the side of Cloud9 Academy.
That's a huge
Wait a minute.
coming in, that's 4,000, but this is a TP coming in. I don't think they realize this just yet. They're going to finally spot it out, but that is the charge into the wall coming in from Shiro, trying to see if he can stop Mr. Rollis from getting away. Fissure just to knock up Svenskeren and Fang. Look at that. That was an aggressive play coming in from Shiro that yielded absolutely nothing.
I have to wonder about the target selection there because they saw Mr. Rales, and yes, that is a mid-game Lucian, you want him down. The Kindred was entirely separated from her team. If they had gone for Mike Young, that probably would have been a kill regardless.
I completely agree with you, and I understand their thought process. Get Mr. Rales so that way they can start pushing these turrets, start getting a little bit more gold back into their team. But unfortunately, Shady was just on point with making sure to disengage for Mr. Rales, and Mike Young really was just not focused at all.
Not at all, and this is what Cloud9 Academy didn't want to have happen. All of the mid-game spikes are coming in for TSM Academy, and if they can close it out within the next 10 minutes, that's going to be it. There's going to be nothing Cloud9 Academy can do. However, the scaling on TSM Academy is going to be extremely low, so if Cloud9 Academy can wait it out, perhaps there's a chance for them to come back into this game.
This is reworked Akali we're talking about now. She is a monster in the late game. She will blow up Keith and Golden Glue if they even step foot in her territory. The moment they go into her house, she knocks them back down.
And her house is the whole map right now. But in terms of her scaling, yes, it's very dangerous, but at the same time, they have Fang, they have Svenskar, and they have Shiro. All this disengaged possibility that keeps a Blazed Olive down for the moment and might scale into late game.
High Kick Lord does flash away from the Chum of the Waters, but that's a lot of percentage damage coming in from Golden Glue. Try to see if they can get down Pie Cake Lord, but look how much time is spent just to get on to Pie Cake Lord.
Careful!
Golden Glue has to stay away because he does not want the feast to connect, but kill will be Golden Glue's.
I have to say that was good balancing on the side of Golden Glue and Shiro, just juggling that aggro and making sure that he was there and ready for Golden Glue to get that kill.
It's nice because they do stop a little bit of the push potential coming in from TSM Academy. So they let Shiro pretty much have the side lane like he likes to have. He'll probably be able to get a little bit of chip damage onto that tier 2 in the bot lane, but really it's Poppy. Poppy doesn't do that much damage to these turrets, unfortunately. And the main thing for me is it delays TSM Academy. You mentioned before, mid-game, very powerful for most of their champions. Blaze Olive probably going to be one of the biggest win conditions when it gets to the late game.
Sure will. That assassination damage is no joke. Again, there are so many disengage options for Cloud9 Academy that it's going to be difficult for a Blazed Olive to get in, but if he can, that's going to be the game.
Right now, let's take a look at that replay. A lot used just to get Pie Kick Lord, but there was no real way to react coming in from TSM Academy.
It was very difficult, but at the same time, that was Pie Kick Lord once again going a little too aggressive. He was played on the bottom side of the map without the rest of the map being pressured, and because of that, he was found out and no repercussions came to Cloud9 Academy.
That's a third Mountain Drake that spawned up, and unfortunately for TSM Academy, they're not going to be able to get that. That would only be just icing on the cake for them, where they go for a Baron, they take it down really quickly, but I believe Mike Young has actually... No, he didn't. Okay, I was about to say, why would he start up the Baron by himself at 23 minutes into the game? He's just getting ward control, trying to see if they can maintain at least the majority control in the river.
And topside is going to be extremely important. At 23 minutes with 2 Earth Dragons and a Kindred, that is going to be a Baron going down extremely fast on the side of TSM Academy if they can get the time.
Bro, hiding in this brush. He wants to see if he can make this pick onto Mr. Rawless, but the fact that they spotted out Mike Young going into the river to get that mark onto the Scuttle Crab, they do back off instead.
And now, with map control going over to the side of TSM Academy, what will they do? They move towards the Baron currently. I feel like this is the right move. They need to win within the next 7 to 10 minutes, otherwise Mr. Rawless is going to get completely outscaled by Keith, and it's going to be a very difficult game to win.
That is at least what you hope coming in from Cloud9 Academy and their way to get back in, but Kindred is something that is incredibly scary. Sure, only 1 kill to the name of Mike Young, but really, looking at that stacks, that's... What is that? I cannot see. I think that's only 2. That's only 2 stacks. That's not too bad, but when they make a pick like that on the Golden Glue, doesn't matter how many stacks you have or not, you're going to be able to easily take him down and try to see if you can rotate towards Baron.
Question mark pings? I have to wonder what he was doing over there. He ran into 3 people blind, even though he knew he had to face check. Being Fizz, he should have had a way to get out of that.
Definitely should have, but that was also a lot of CC. They tried to see if they can make a reaction call onto Mike Young, but the quickness did not connect on to Kindred.
It did not. He had flash available, decided it wasn't time for that. Mike Young just able to get out of that. Teleport
Hero
canceled.
Does cancel the TP. Doesn't have TP himself, so he's going to have to walk the whole way, but this does stop High Kick Lord from being able to tank up this Baron as much as possible. But look at the Olive on the other side, trying to see if he can get the flank before Shiro can show up. Shiro's doing the best job he can, but sorry to delay High Kick Lord for the time being. It's down to 25% health at the moment. Blaze Olive looks for that engage tool on to these members, but he's knocked up quite a bit. Shiro wants to see if they can pick up the kill on a Blaze Olive.
Baron
at the Baron. You have to go over now, Sven. He does not get it. He will unfortunately lose out. He's still locked in the pit. Blaze Olive does get the last fight right on the edge, but it also keeps Svenskar alive for the time being. He goes back to his team. Golden goes out, jump the waters. They get the snipe coming in from Keith, and they do not look like they want to stop. They still pick up City. 3 members still hold onto the Baron. They're going to be able to get out of there for TSM Academy for now. Cloud9 at least make a good reaction call.
Reaction is all they can do at this point. Getting 2 kills, it's something, but 3 members still have the Baron, and Cloud9 Academy left out to dry.
They are left out to dry, but keep in mind, 3 members with Baron, one of them being Pie Kick Lord that they can throw into the side lane, and it's going to be super difficult for them to kill. They're going to be able to escalate this gold lead even further, so let's take a look at this fight.
What a clutch ult coming in from Kindred. The Lamb's Respite does keep Akali alive, and that was all they needed. Their backup was almost flawless, but Pie Kick Lord just missed position there a little bit and allowed 2 kills to get through.
Does allow 2 kills to get through, but I still think that Shady was going down regardless. 2 for the 1 of Svenskeren, but the biggest thing being TSM Academy being able to walk away with 3 members strong on Baron.
And now that they have those 3 members, they can either do a 3-1-1 or a 4-1 split if they wanted. Now that Pie Kick Lord doesn't have teleport and there are no teleports available for the side of TSM Academy, I have to feel like they group up in this instance.
But still, it's Pie Kick Lord. Look at that build. He's got the Abyssal Mask going on, Righteous Glory, already got the Merc Treads with a giant spell on top of it. This is a difficult Void monster to kill.
It is, but Keith finished his 2nd item and now has a Zeal, so I believe that is his 2nd evolution completed on both his Q and his E. With those, he's going to be very difficult to kill himself, and a Blazed Olive might still look for it even still.
Currently, TSM Academy are struggling to try to see if they can push up these waves and get at least a little bit of capitalization from the Baron buff. Has only gone through, I believe, 30% of the Baron. So not really too much yet lost by TSM Academy, but they got to make sure that they're very careful going into these team fights. As you look at that last fight, that was incredibly messy and really should have been TSM Academy winning the fight, but they cannot fight that well when they lose members such as a Blaze Olive.
It's going to be difficult, and now that he doesn't have Baron, a Blazed Olive is just pushing up normal minions the normal way. Cloud9 Academy looking to capitalize on that, but unfortunately weren't able to get in position. Now have to defend against a full Baroned up TSM Academy on the bot side.
Still, a Blaze Olive is in mid lane. He is afraid to rotate because he can't join his team unless he goes all the way down, and that is a very long journey. Cloud9 Academy do not realize this, though. They're still kind of holding off, still thinking that a Blaze Olive might be nearby, but he's still getting minions in mid. And now that he's shown himself, this could be an engage coming in from Cloud9.
They have to do something at this point, because if they don't react, it's going to be very difficult to come back. TSM Academy still pushing up, but showing a little bit of restraint, which is definitely helpful.
Cloud9 Academy just want to make sure that they can hold on to as many of these outer turrets as humanly possible. They hold on to the tier 2s. They make it really difficult for TSM Academy to start marching into their base. But really, they cannot lose out on these rotations, these macro calls. If Golden Glue has to use the Playful Trickster like that, he can no longer defend mid.
No, he can't, but with mid only being pressured by 1.
And that is the engage coming in from Fang. They realize that a Blaze Olive nowhere nearby. Keith just demolishing Mr. Rollins. Mike Young, look at that. He has to jump, hop, and skip away right back to Blaze Olive, who was pushing up the minions the whole time, didn't even react to try to help out the mid laner and the bot laner.
And this is where it becomes difficult. Mike Young, having only 2 stacks as Kindred, means he doesn't have the range necessary to take turrets. Mr. Raleigh having the 500 range as well, also very vulnerable when taking turrets. So this Siege team, not quite coming together for TSM Academy.
This is something that we were talking about. The mid game is dominated by TSM Academy, but we are now starting to scale up into this late game. The items are starting to be completed by Keith. You mentioned before, he already has the 2 evolutions on Kaisa. Probably going to work on that final one, and once he has everything he needs, that's going to be a lot of true damage coming in from that passive.
Yes, indeed, and he is scaling up really well. Has the most farm in the game right now at 316 versus the 293 of Mr. Raleigh. This is exactly what Cloud9 Academy have wanted, and one thing I mentioned earlier was how TSM Academy needed to win within 30 minutes if they wanted a chance in this game. If they don't win by 30 minutes, the scaling gets so ridiculous on Kaisa that it becomes impossible to take her out.
Still gotta always keep in mind Kindred and Cho'Gath. They're so difficult to deal with in the late game, Sam. It's whenever you have a Kindred with Cho'Gath, you focus Cho'Gath, well, Lamb's Respite. You try to get onto Kindred, Lamb's Respite. Doesn't matter,
but
Lamb's Respite. This is true. That is what is great about Gragas in this composition.
Mm-hmm. I have to agree. Svenskeren has picked the greatest champion against Kindred because he can knock anyone out of Lamb's Respite that he chooses.
And look at his build, too. He did not go for the AP build this time. He foregoed that, wanting to have more engage as well as being a lot tankier so that they can look for these potential plays with Svenskeren being at the helm of them.
One thing I also noticed is looking at Kindred, she now has 4 stacks. So in the middle of all of this team fighting, she has managed 2 more stacks, and that will put her at the range advantage over Lucian. So that's a little bit of siege power, not quite what they need right now, but eventually it will be enough.
Golden Glue has to be very careful. He was spotted out by the Sweeper's Lens, who could have easily been jumped on, and that's one of the problems that they had earlier, was Golden Glue got himself caught out in a very precarious situation where he was face-checking a brush, and TSM Academy capitalized onto the fish.
It's going to be easy to capitalize, but right now, there's a minute and 24 seconds until Baron is up. So that means TSM Academy wisely going towards the top side and getting that vision advantage to the best of their ability. Cloud9 doing the exact same thing.
Keep in mind that last Baron play from TSM Academy netted nothing. They only actually lost to one member, and that was Mr. Wallace, giving a lot more gold back to Cloud9 Academy. The gold lead that was at about 5,000 in favor of TSM has been cut in half. It's right around that 2,000, 2,500 mark.
Cloud9 Academy have been holding off really well, able to bait all the pressure that TSM Academy have brought on. And now that they're looking at this game, they might look for a proactive play, either a pick or moving that vision towards the top side.
Young has been hanging out towards the bot. They want to see if they can make the pick onto Shiro, so there's no way that he could teleport in, but Shiro is playing very wisely on that. Had no vision on Kindred and where they were at, so he backed off, just opting to put a control ward down.
This is his 4th game on Poppy, and he has been undefeated in every single game that he has played Poppy. Looking to continue that trend on this game, he is playing back and making sure that he defends only what he needs to.
Love this play coming in from Cloud9 Academy. They're playing very, very passively, trying to make sure that they can get these items and scale up. In fact, Hex Drinker has been built by Keith, so that way he can survive a Blaze Olive a lot better when he goes for the all-in engages.
And we see a Blazed Olive also building towards AP. He has the Zonias, he has the Hextech Gunblade, and now building towards that Blasting Wand, which could very well go to a Morello's, a Leandri's, a Rylai's, all sorts of different options.
I always imagined that it would be the Void Staff just to get that extra magic pen, but you never know with how Akali can build. Still holding on to that Hex Strength for this entire time, and in fact, you look over to Mike Young having the Ginsu's Rage Blade as well. That's still a lot of AP damage that's coming in from this team. Golden Glue throws out the Jump of the Waters. It only connects on Fire Lord, so not going to be that much damage that you can do to the Cho'Gath.
That was approximately 300 damage on a 5,000 health tank. Doesn't feel great.
Not at all.
And he has Warmugs.
Exactly, so he's just going to heal right back up. In fact, look at that. He's back to full. Look at Keith, though. Getting a little bit more poke for the benefit of those Cathian Reigns. Probably better to use Keith for that poke, but you don't want to get that close to Cho'Gath.
If I'm TSM Academy, I'm not feeling great about doing an ARAM right here. Yes, it gives more pressure towards the Baron, but your top lane's getting pushed in.
Blaze Olive has been cut off from the rest of the team, but Cloud9 Academy don't know this just yet. He has spotted out in the mid lane, but that's break sandwich in from Pyke Lord, but trying to see who goes for the engagement. Blaze Olive, he was way caught out from his team. Keith survived the feast. He has the damage in the backline to make sure that they can finish off Cho'Gath. They go for the re-engage. They go and far into TSM, but it's Mike Svenskeren trying to do what he can. Svenskeren's burning down for the red button, but it's not going to be enough to finish him off. Coming back in, Keith was not able to finish him off. It was Shady getting the kill on Defang. Instead, it's just the support for the support this moment, but they lost Mike Young. Mr. Wallace still holding on with Shady. It's 3 members against the 2 of TSM who have to back off.
But you have to look at Mr. Raleigh. He still has teleport, so if they go for this on the side of Cloud9 Academy, they have to be so careful for anything coming in from the side of TSM Academy.
Really surprised that they actually try to go for this Baron right now. They don't have someone who can really tank this up too well. Keith is really, really low at the moment on this Kaisa, but they still feel confident. They have Svenskeren. They're spotted out by that blue trinket, and there is the TP that can be used by Mr. Wallace, but he didn't go back.
He didn't go back, so now he's down to very little mana.
And look at that Golden Glue capitalizing on the fact that Master Wallace did not go back like we just said, and Shady, he gets himself caught out trying to hang out with his 80 carry, giving the double kill to Keith.
That was a super risky play coming out from Cloud9 Academy. It did pay off there, but TSM Academy made a mistake, and that was what was capitalized on.
Honestly, I'm not sure why Mr. Wallace stayed there. He had teleport, like you mentioned. He could have easily gone for a flank just to disengage the Baron, but no. He stuck around, was caught out by Golden Glue.
There were a couple wards around the Baron, so I have to wonder what exactly he was thinking by staying around and clearing a wave.
And look at this. Bot lane, Mike Young, and Pyke Lord. I do believe that Mike Young was spotted out by that minion wave, so that's a free Baron that you're now giving over to Cloud9 Academy.
TSM Academy had such a lead going into this. All they needed to do was play patiently. At this point, I don't know what they can do to come back from this Baron, considering the siege power of Cloud9 Academy.
And look at the items that were just completed by Keith. He got himself a Guardian's Angel. He is going to be so crucial. He's on Kaisa. He's scaling up into this game. Got the Guardian's Angel. Randuin, Runon's Hurricane as well. You're not going to be able to kill Keith.
It's nigh impossible. Hex Drinker is well off of cooldown. He has so much protection against this AP-heavy team. So because of that, getting onto him is going to be impossible. And not only that, getting onto him again.
Off by Fang, flashing forward to get Mr. Wallace, but that was a beautiful beautiful knockback coming in from Svenskaren. Mike Young has to run away. He has a little bit of a shield, but they're not done with the chase. They just want to make sure they get rid of them from this turret as they start marching into the base of TSM Academy.
Pick potential, siege. These are all the things that Cloud9 Academy have, and they are using to the best of their ability. Getting that pick was crucial.
And look at this. TSM Academy will run so far back into their own base that's easy for Keith to be able to take down, bulldoze down these turrets, and they want to see if they can end the game for Cloud9 Academy. They get the lead, and they start to try to see if they can end.
But there's still 4 members alive. Is it going to be enough? Yes, Mike Young doesn't have an ult, but is it enough?
Look at the damage coming in from these Nexus turrets. They got the chance. The water's on to Shady. He has to jump back, but it's only to Mike Young. That is going to be Golden Glue already assassinating the support. He even takes out the members of Kindred. Mike Young looking at a plays off, and finally, Piekick Lord going down for the ace. Cloud9 Academy. They were down all game, but you can never count them out.
It was the 30-minute mark. The second it hit, that was all Cloud9 Academy needed.
Man, that is what you expect coming in from this team. We even mentioned it before that they are explosive. Once they get the lead, they go for those ends.
It was so close all around. It just came down to that final play. Mr. Rowley's not finding that, and a team fight that went awry for TSM Academy, leading Cloud9 to victory.
Really, you can all boil this down to that pick on the Mr. Rawless. Had he backed and teleported in, I can't imagine the game ever ending like that.
No, and there's no other place you would use the teleport. I can't imagine that he'd be split pushing at any point in the game. I can't imagine that he'd be split off in a way that would make him need to teleport. So why are you saving it?
Exactly. It just is very, very strange. But congratulations do go out to Cloud9 Academy. 15-2. Didn't really need the win, but it's still always nice to have, especially when you see Golden Glue playing Fizz and having an interesting game. Hello, boys. Welcome.
Hey.
We're on a black screen right now. Oh, no, there it is. We're back.
We're here.
Whew. Well, you guys got our hearts racing in that game.
Palpitations going on. We are missing Keith.
Oh, we can't hear you yet. We can't hear you yet.
Yeah, we will hear you in
trash
just
talk.
a second.
This is the time to trash talk.
Trash talk?
Yeah.
I got solo killed.
Oh, we can hear you.
I gave it to
You
him.
did. I saw that.
The solo kill gave you the win, though.
That's true. I was up 40 CS after solo killing him.
Yeah.
Or getting solo killed.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Solo kill. So, guys, that game was definitely an interesting to look at because you guys were down for so much of the game. I believe it wasn't until that 30-minute mark that you guys finally got the lead, and really it was you getting the pick onto Mr. Rawless when we were expecting him to try to go for a TP flank. Do you think that would have really helped out?
I'm trying to remember because that game was so long. Where was it when
It was the pick right around the Baron. It was you just fought. You got two.
it means when we were baiting
like,
after we're baiting Baron and
Yeah.
I'm going on them? Yeah. That was pretty big because I think that secured our Baron and we just ran down Baron and into the game. I think they had to walk in because we had a pink on Baron and I knew I could like kill them if they came in.
Right.
So I was pretty strong at that point. Felt pretty good after we won that fight.
Yeah, you did a lot of damage on the Fizz, but it was definitely a difficult time to get to that point. The Kali matchup was something we did not expect to see because, one, we thought it was disabled, but then seeing that into this one, were you guys ready to play against that Kali?
Yeah, I think we prepared a lot to play versus Kali, and I gotta say he built Hex Drinker, which is something I have not seen before. And we had
That was interesting.
we had Gragas
Didn't expect
Fizz
it.
trying to kill a Hex Drinker Akali. It was pretty hard. We almost killed her one time, but then like he managed to get into the Kindred ulti, and then after that point it was pretty hard. And yeah, Akali's a new champion, so you know I think it's pretty important to figure out like how good it is and the matchups and stuff. So.
Yeah, I do agree. But speaking about having a bit of a difficult time, Shiro, you did get solo killed by Piekick Lord.
Yeah,
So
unlucky.
what happened?
Kind of just walked in and died.
Just walked in.
No, I actually just suicided.
It was definitely interesting. There was a level disparity between the two of you, but at the same time, you were able to come back into that game, and you actually were able to get the CS lead, and you never really relented any pressure into Piekick Lord, despite having given up that first kill.
Actually, he kept like trying to move, and like he kept losing CS for it, and he wasn't getting anything. So I was just like constantly getting CS and getting XP, and he's just losing out for like 5 minutes straight.
Yeah,
I just ended up catching up.
Yeah, and
I got ahead of him.
It's nice. It's nice to be able to see that because you had that rough lane, you had the kill that you unfortunately gave over, but you were able to punish him regardless. You were always able to come back into that. And the one thing that I kind of want to talk about a little bit, and just taking over the game and coming back, was definitely you, Keith, on that Kaisa. You did a great job in those team fights, and honestly, you're just ripping apart Cho'Gath anytime you tried stepping forward. So looking at this pick, was it just you knew that once they left Kaisa open that it was GG?
Well, it's kind of like the Kaisa Rakan combo is what we really wanted. And we knew that if Lucian Brown doesn't get super far ahead early, which is, we definitely have like a big disadvantage.
Right.
If they don't push their lead, then we just definitely outscale.
Yeah, and they
super hard.
Never really were able to get onto you guys. And I honestly think that's a lot due to you, Fang. You played a great job on Rakan, and I believe this was your first competitive game on Rakan this split. So looking at this matchup, was this something that you had been well prepared for?
Yeah, I play a lot Rakan. Like,
It really is your first Rakan game?
Yeah.
Competitively.
Competitively.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
That's
I'm
weird.
pretty confident on that champion, so like, yeah.
Yes, it was definitely a great pick, and I don't think a lot of people were expecting you to play it because you hadn't played it all season long. So it was something that you were able to really utilize, and really, I love the last play. We'll be able to hopefully look at the replay where you had the quickness, you popped right away, and then you were able to flash forward, get the catch onto Mr. Rallas.
Yep.
It's really nice. And then finally, looking over to you, Sven, looking at your Gragas, this time you didn't go for the AP build. You went for the tank build. What's the difference?
I mean, I think people just found out the, what's it called, the Gaga stone plate is pretty strong.
Yeah.
It's jungle items, so you can actually get tanky as a jungler if you get the stone plate, rather than building like the Knight's Vow, Seeks and stuff where you just like not tanky at all. So I guess going for the Gaga stone plate is pretty good.
But how are you supposed to kill them right away with that build?
I'm kind of happy I didn't build AP because we're losing early games, so if I go AP, it literally can't do anything.
Team fights are just like front to back too. We have to kill the Cho'Gath usually first because they have a Kindred. It's hard to dive them.
So I do love that pick. You picked the Gragas into Kindred, so anytime she did go for the Lamb's Respite, you look at that last play especially, she put the Lamb's Respite down. Instantly, you threw the cask right into there, knocking back Mr. Rallas so he couldn't get the heal, and you blew him up so you can easily turn the fight and win the game. And honestly, this is something I think more people need to give respect to you on, is your Gragas play.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I liked the matchup already before this patch, and this patch Kindred got nerfed, which I think is a pretty big nerf. So,
Right.
I mean, it's just a better matchup for Gragas now.
Completely agree. But now, guys, I wanted to, before we go into the highlights, just go over MVPs like we always do, see who you guys vote for. So, Keith, who are you going to give it to? Who are you going to vote for?
It's Fang for sure. Yep.
Fang?
The guy
All
popped
right.
off.
He did. He did. Shiro?
I'll give it to Fang too.
Fang!
Ooh, I was going to do either Keith or Fang. I
Have
guess
yet to get a unanimous vote
I think
on
I'll
MVP,
do
by
it
the
to
way.
Fang. I'll do it to Fang too.
I'll keep the trend going. I'll give it to
Fang.
Fang.
I mean, I have to give someone, so I just give it to Danny.
Well, you can't vote yourself?
No, can't vote.
No.
No.
Thank you, Fang.
Maybe we can allow it this week because it is the final week for the broadcast. So
He already voted for me, so.
Oh, you
too
already
late.
voted for you?
No, he voted for me, so.
Okay.
And I vote for
I'll,
Fang.
I
No
was gonna say, I'll let you vote
takesy
for
backsies.
yourself if you wanted to.
No, I voted for Fang.
All right, well, Fang does win the MVP for this week. So now we do have those highlights, so we'll be able to look through how this game went. And like we mentioned before, it was a very difficult early game, starting off with the first blood solo kill by Kick Lord.
Oh.
High mechanical
Oh,
outplay
he's sick,
coming in.
bro.
Actually, I just walked up and
Oh,
died.
he fucking chopped your head off.
I should have walked in and died.
Oh my.
Yep, you did.
How can you beat mechanics like that, Shiro?
Cool, he bit your
Insane.
head off.
He actually bit your head off.
Insane gameplay.
This
Oh.
was just Kick Lord. I don't know why
I
he
was-
was.
He was
really-
running it down right here.
I don't know what the fuck was going on here. I was pretty confused.
We were very confused.
We thought Kindred was here too, because
Yeah.
he's like on the red, so.
Yeah, but then she spots in mid, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So then this play right here was a bit of a yikers. You guys
Yeah,
really have
it's
to-
TP advantage.
Yeah.
You guys went before I could even beat that, guys.
Oh, yeah. This is probably not clean.
I mean, no one died. It's pretty good. They had 5 people down here and no one died.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we're gonna lose.
We lost one tower, which is not
Eventually.
bad.
Oh, this is tragic.
This is where we die.
Oh yeah,
This
I
was
didn't even
close.
come. I was like up there.
Oh, that was such a clean.
I coulda came too.
That was so good.
Cancel him, but he's too
Oh, I
tanky.
died to Ignite.
Yep.
Blows.
Oh.
Could have came, but I thought you guys had him.
No, but where's the support missing call, guys? Haha, better bot.
Actually, we went to that play because we thought Poppy were coming, but then Poppy didn't go, so.
Oh, okay.
Ah.
Is that what it was?
It's your
yeah,
fault?
yeah.
Was
I
it?
blame
Yeah,
my
man.
teammates. I
Yeah,
blame
it was
my
your fault?
teammates.
No, I don't think that one was my fault, guys.
What about
Oh
this one?
my
Oh,
god.
that's a feels
Wait,
bad.
do you live, Keith?
No, I
Oh.
didn't.
Oh,
he's
okay.
back.
Yeah, flash forward with ult from Mr. Ellis.
Holy moly.
Well, I didn't think he would commit that far, actually. That's weird.
Yeah, I was kind of
Like
surprised
I'm like
that he
I
went that
felt
hard
pretty
too.
safe, like around my Krug inner tower.
Oh, I was
But-
so scared of
Basically,
dying here.
he wasn't
I was
killing,
so close to dying.
Oh yeah, you were.
Mhm.
Literally just 1 feet
One
away.
chomp.
Gave me the thunder.
And
Oh
then,
shit, Pie Cake Lord.
lol.
Got him.
Yeah, but
Nice,
this is-
nice.
Okay, so walk us through this one.
That's a big.
Kristen?
Oh, yeah,
What
Kali
happened?
was showing top. I'm like, this is my window. This is our time to fight, right?
I
guys?
literally
Didn't
just
you have,
blue Baron,
didn't you
bro.
have like your
They're not.
E and
They're
everything?
not
too?
on it, man.
Nah, I know they're not on it, bro. I was
You can ask me to
trying to
too.
fight, bro. Kali was top farming.
Oh, nice flash, man.
That was a good snipe though, right there.
Yeah.
Yummy.
So
Fang.
this is where
Fang turns it around.
Fang turns it around, but also TSM really just didn't have a good way to actually siege. They didn't have teleport advantage. They didn't have the split push advantage.
And the range is so
Yeah.
low.
TSMA with
Yeah.
Baron always is they always do nothing with Baron.
And this
Like
goes
our
on.
first game too. I think our first game versus them, they got 2 Barons and
They did.
That
And then
did
you got the
happen.
catch on to Pike Lord and won from there. And then you look at just actual TSM too, and they don't like to make good calls around Baron, but that's a whole other thing.
this was
Oh, you
this
survived
was
it.
like the game
Oh,
turning
yeah,
fight right here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is afterwards where you get the pick on them.
Yeah.
Where we expected to see Mr. Wallace try to go for a TP play that he could have probably done a little bit safer, but instead you just kill him.
Yeah, we can't
Yeah.
actually do Baron here.
No,
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
think we can
Too
actually
low.
do it.
It was a nice bluff.
Should we get Leaf gonna TP?
It's actually a nice bluff, guys.
yeah. I mean, they have to be scared of it. We do have a mountain dragon.
That's
kind
true.
of
Yeah, but you only had the
Fang.
one mountain dragon, so it wasn't that much. And you also didn't have that much health on Kaisa or Gragas.
Me and Grayson was just
Fang
trying
with the
to
carry.
I'm
come
trying
to the fight.
sprinting at them like, come on,
I'm
guys.
coming, guys. We're coming, guys.
Fang just yelling at everyone like, I got him!
Look at my damage on Kindred.
Oh yeah, I was surprised. I'm like, wait, you
Yeah.
killed her instantly.
Yeah,
She
she
was
was like
just dead.
70%. I just queued and he died.
That is Fizz late game with the Lich Bane. So
I'm glad this character's back. You know. I
are
missed
you
him.
though?
No.
It's like saying you're happy that Teemo is in the meta.
I actually hate playing against Fizz. It's so annoying.
Yeah,
Like, oh, you walked in Q range? There goes 90% of your health bar.
exactly. Okay, and before we actually end the stream, we have to ask who has the better shirt today?
Bananas versus.
Groot
What's
and
on
Rocket.
Oh,
Groot and Rocket.
This is a tough one, actually.
I'll give it to Bananas.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I gave
Thank
two
you.
bananas.
Thank
Banana.
you.
Aw, bananas.
I'll go with Groot.
Hey.
I like Groot.
I go for the banana.
Ah. All right,
MVP
congratulations,
shirt.
you win for the MVP shirt.
I feel betrayed.
Okay, you lost all the other week, so you only deserve to win at least one.
It feels good.
Yeah, probably does feel good. But
And
guys,
before we go, guys, just to let you know, this is our last broadcast for Academy. So Twitch
Yeah,
chat,
no.
please send your love to
Oh,
our
but-
casters.
Oh,
Make
but-
sure that you follow them on Twitter. And that's it.
yeah,
Thank you, Mark.
Wait, really? No next
Wow.
week? There's,
Yeah,
oh,
well-
wait, this is last week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
this
is
is
the
last week.
last week, and then it's quarters
Playoffs.
next week.
Oh, playoffs? Oh, yeah,
Semis.
playoffs is. Wait, playoffs?
Playoffs is next
Playoffs
week.
is just all on stage.
Yeah, it's
I
quarters
think.
and then semis, but you guys go right to semis, and it's all on stage. So
My God.
Oh, so we have a 1 week off?
Yep.
Bye, I guess.
yeah.
Oh, we
You
got
gotta buy.
next week
Academy
off.
bye.
Next
Yep.
week off.
Yes.
Wow.
Play some Monster
Let's go
Hunter.
some-
Monster Hunter, bro.
But guys, we will congratulate you on your first place seed that you get regardless of what happens tomorrow. We will wish you the best of luck and be watching you guys from either at home or LCS. Either way, we'll try to make sure to go to the games. You guys will kick ass. We know it. Congratulations again, and we love all of you out there, and we hope you enjoyed these streams. We'll see you later.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
guys.
watching, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
I'm gonna miss